Whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready to actually start. Just waiting to see my picture on my phone on YouTube. Making sure that we're up. There we go. All right. So, what do I have for you today? Know, Prince, that between the years when the oceans drank Atlantis and the gleaming cities and the years of the rise of the sons of Arius, there was an age undreamed of when shining kingdoms lay spread across the world like blue mantles beneath the stars. Nemedia, Ophir, Bithynia, Hyperborea, Zamoria with dark-haired women and towers of spider-haunted mystery, Zingara with its chivalry, Koth that bordered on the pastoral lands of Shem, Stygia with its shadow-guarded tombs, Hyrcania, whose riders wore steel and silk and gold. But the proudest kingdom of all was Aquilonia, reigning supreme in the dreaming west. Hither came Conan, the Cimmerian, black-haired, sullen-eyed, sword in hand, a thief, a reaver, a slayer, with gigantic melancholies and gigantic mirth. He to tread the jeweled thrones of the earth beneath his sandaled feet. He's actually wearing kind of like pirate boots, but whatever. The funny thing is, this original painting, we can't even really see Conan's feet very well. So they could have followed what Howard wrote there and given him sandals, but no, they gave him like the kind of buccaneer boots, which I guess is traditional for Conan the Barbarian. Al Davis is here and says, "Hello, God bless you. It's Otter and Nell over here in the old country. Well, over here in the former colonies as well." Yeah, we recently just celebrated our independence just a few days ago. I didn't get a chance to do a video about it because I was visiting with my mother, and I like to do a 4th of July video every year. Try to do something, but wasn't able to do one this year. But hey, if you want to see me do a 4th of July video, there's that Captain America video I did a few years back with the Toy Biz version. So this is a resealable package, but it does have little pieces of tape holding the package together. So I want to cut these real quick before I do anything else. Go ahead and get those loosened up and get that ready to take out. Because this should just slide out once I get the tape. I might not have cut thick enough on this tape. Did I? I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so it seems like that one's good. There's a few pieces of tape. That one's good. This one, good. There's no tape there. There's one more piece over here. Yeah, I guess I didn't quite make it through that one. So this... Oh, and Al Davis says, sorry, meant to say happy 250th, dude. Thanks. And I was a bicentennial baby. The bicentennial was a pretty big deal back in 1976 when I was born. So the country has a 50th birthday, and I have or the country has a 250th birthday. I have a 50th birthday. So on our tricentennial, I'll be 100 if I'm still kicking around in my robot body. So we'll see how that does. So this figure is Conan the Barbarian, as I mentioned before, and it's based on the artwork of Frank Frazetta. This painting in particular, this was the painting for Conan the Adventurer, I believe that book was called. Bong Donkey is here and says, "Hello, guys." Hi, Bong Donkey. Good to see you. But yeah, it says moving head, arms and legs, twisting waist, hands and feet, removable armor. I don't think he has any armor. Complete with sword, axe, and shield, and includes exclusive trading card. And as I pointed out before, this is one of these where it's this fancy resealable package. So we'll be able to put him back in the package, and I'll hang him on my wall like that. It's already a piece of artwork because it's got art by Frank Frazetta on it, and the figure is based on art by Frank Frazetta. And even the back of it has some Frank Frazetta artwork. Nice little, I think it's a pen and ink sketch of Conan. And then we got cross-sell artwork for Death Dealer John Carter, from the Edgar Rice Burroughs Mars books. And there's Conan himself. Says collect them all. This was an exclusive to the Frazetta Girls website, and there is a standard version that'll be sold in, like, you know, regular stores and online retailers and such. And the main difference is the head, where, like, I don't know if there's any other differences, but that version, Conan, has a helmet. And I wanted to make sure I got the one without the helmet. So this was an exclusive to the Frazetta Girls website, like I mentioned, and it's a limited edition of 5,000 pieces. And it even has like a little holographic sticker on here. And mine is number 575 of 5,000 pieces. So that's nice. So, and I've made He-Man style Masters of the Universe style figures of all of these characters before. And in fact, there's a video up on the channel of the first version of Death Dealer I did. I did a second version of Death Dealer later on. I don't think I put up the John Carter figure because it's still not quite where I want it to be. And I've done several figures of Conan, but the most appropriate, and I don't think I've done a video about this one yet, is I did this one. This was my homage that I made to Frank Frazetta's artwork. And I had an extra body from the Stranger Things He-Man. And since that one was already painted to look kind of like a, with a little more detail, like more of a fantasy painting kind of thing, I thought that would be an appropriate base figure to use for the Frazetta version of Conan. And I used some parts from the loincloth, and the necklace came from the Alien Ceto Conan kit. You can find these on all these parts on Cults 3D right now, by the way. And then the head I used was actually that head that I used was from Mega Custom X. That's one of his comic style Conan heads. And I probably would have used the Alien Ceto head because I thought that was like actually a little more Frazetta looking. But unfortunately, the earrings on that one were a little too delicate when I printed it out, and they broke. So that was sad. But this one had much more substantial earrings. So that's why I chose to use this version. Unlike some people who are going to whine about Genndy Tartakovsky's Conan, which looks awesome to me, I have no problem with Conan having earrings. And in fact, I picked this one because, like I said, I picked this head because of the big earrings. Because, hey, guess what? Frank Frazetta painted his with big old earrings. So, and in fact, if you look at the earring on his left ear, it's a big old hoop earring with a big old hoop earring hanging off of it. So bro is wearing 3 earrings. But I really liked the design of the loincloth that Alien Ceto made, where it's actually got a little strap in the back here that you can tuck the sword in. And this sword is also a Mega Customs X sword. And this is from the movie. This is Conan's father's sword. And I mainly just used this one because I think this is like the coolest of all Conan swords. Even though he winds up breaking it in the movie. But, you know, it's a symbolic thing. He's got to have his own sword, right? Well, in my reality, this can be whatever sword I want it to be. So this is just the sword that I'm using. Al Davis says, have you had your birthday yet? It was in March, actually. And said, you got to set up a temporary post office box to receive birthday fan gifts and such. Well, that's a nice idea. But, you know, the best gift any man can receive on his birthday or any other day is people engaging with his YouTube channel. So you're already doing that. So thank you. But yeah, that was back in March. And then Bong Donkey says, killer figure. Why, thank you, sir. I don't know if you're talking, I figure you're talking about the one that I made. You might be talking about this one, but he's also pretty awesome. I'm really looking forward to having this one opened up. I've been looking forward to this figure for a while. So the Frazetta Girls website is run by Frank Frazetta's granddaughter, carrying on the legacy of her grandfather, keeping his name alive. She sells a lot of merchandise, a lot of prints, a lot of action figures. This is one of them. There's a lot more sort of like, you know, the high-end kind of action figures with like a lot of articulation, like that kind of. I would like to get one of those one of these days. Like they just put out a John Carter in that series, but yeah, I had to get the He-Man version. I had to get the Masters of the Universe style the 5.5 inch, as we like to call it. Al Davis says some Persian-esque or Jack Sparrow style eye makeup and a suave, handsome mustache. You could convert him into Sinbad with a scimitar too. Hey, I don't know if Frazetta ever did any paintings of Sinbad, but now it seems like a missed opportunity, doesn't it? And pirate nipple rings. I don't know about nipple rings. I definitely wouldn't want Conan to have those. Those seems like they get caught on things fairly easily when you're trying to fight monsters and other barbarian hordes. But yeah, like check out this logo that's on here. I've seen this logo on a few things. I don't know exactly where it came from, but I do know that I remember seeing it on some foreign editions of the movie poster for Conan the Barbarian. Like I think it's on one of the Japanese posters, and it is a cool looking logo. I do want to point that out because this is not going to be the only Conan figure that I opened recently, because very soon Big Bad Toy Store should be getting in their boss fight Conan figures, and as soon as they do, it should go into my pile of loot, and I'm gonna order that like immediately, because I'm gonna have Conan, and I'm gonna have Red Sonja, and they got a Skeleton Warrior that's really cool, and I want to try to get that too, but I wasn't. I can only get so much at one time, and I gotta have Red Sonja, and I gotta have Conan. So Skeleton guy, he's just gonna have to wait a little bit, and hopefully I can get one later. And if not, oh well, I guess that's life. But anyway, I already talked about the back of the packaging, and I already talked about the front of the packaging, and I already cut the tape on here, so we might as well go ahead and open them up too. And a silky sash. Yeah, we gotta have a silky sash. Since I got it out of here, we can have a better look at that painting of Conan. And oddly enough, for a website called Frazetta Girls, we barely see the girl on there, but there we can see a little bit of her. And maybe they didn't want to have nudity on an action figure package, because technically you can't see her nipples on there. And like when I first heard the Frazetta Girls website, I didn't know it was like his granddaughter running it. So like I heard Frazetta Girls, and I'm like, oh well, that's because he paints nice women. He's good at doing that. But then after I realized it was his granddaughter, then I realized, oh well, it might just be Frazetta Girls in that she herself is a Frazetta girl. Her last name actually being Frazetta. So they have this card just taped into the package, and that's not a good thing. So now I'm having to very gently peel this tape off, and I think that it might have gotten like slightly damaged because of the tape being attached to it. And you can see all fancy holographic printing there. Very nice looking. And there's the full painting with there you can see the girl that I'm talking about, clutched about Conan's leg. And you can see, like I'm talking about, you can't really see his feet very well. It looks like to me like he's got like some kind of like little short boot that we can see. But it could be a sandal, it could be whatever, we don't know. But in this figure, I guess they had to show something, so they decided to interpret that as being pirate boots. And that's fine with me. I think that works fine. Bobby Wall is here and says, I kind of like the skeletons that have a cowboy, barbarian, and think a Spanish conquistador. Yeah, like that's cool. Yeah, I definitely want to pick those skeletons up. Like I said, I just couldn't afford them while I'm already getting the other two figures. So I had to make a choice, and that was a choice I had to make. So, but I will try to get that later on. Hopefully they won't sell it too fast, and I can maybe order one next week. Maybe I can order one next week. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get him out of the package. And here are the accessories that he comes with. I don't know if you saw this. It was in a little blister, like a little separate blister. And I want to make sure I hold on to those package, because like I said, you can kind of put it back together. But here's the shield. Very cool shield. Even though this is made in the Masters of the Universe style, as far as like the scale and everything like that, that doesn't mean that it's Masters of the Universe in terms of quality. Because of course, like when those figures are made back in the 80s, they were doing them on a little bit of a budget. They could only afford so much as far as paint applications and things like that. And the molds weren't quite as good back then as they are now. Well, they could make this guy a little fancier, and they did. So it's going to be retro in terms of like the scale and the articulation to a certain extent, I think. But there's a lot of good detail to it. And you can see it in that sword, or I'm sorry, the shield. There's like a little bit of a wash over it. There's like this spike on here, which that's not really something that would have been child friendly back in the day. But you can see how, like, if you compare this to the shield that came with the original Castle Grayskull, you can see how Frazetta was the DNA of a lot of that stuff. And then here is the axe that comes with him. And I think they probably could have gotten closer to like something that Frazetta would have actually painted for this axe, honestly. I could be mistaken. There might be an axe that looks like this in one of his paintings, and I'm just forgetting about it. But to me, I think they probably could have gotten a little closer with the axe, if I'm nitpicking. But they more than make up for that with the sword. And I think that this sword, if you look at the hilt of it, where did I set that? Oh, there it is. If you look at the way that the hilt of the sword is drawn, it's got text over it, but very similar in shape. They did a really good job with that. I'm going to put that over here for now. And then there's what it looks like when it's unsheathed. And it does have a sheath, which is nice. All right, now let's move on to the figure himself. And there do not seem to be any rubber tabs or twist ties or anything whatsoever holding Conan into the package, which is nice. Mong Donkey says, I dig Frazetta's work, and he's an Italian like me. Yeah, awesome. Or is he or he is Italiano descent? I think so. Frazetta certainly seems like an Italian name to me. That's what it sounds like to me. So I believe he is. And like his granddaughter, she has like an Italian look to her, which she's an attractive lady. I'm just saying. All right, so man, is this arm stiff? I'm almost afraid to even try to move it because it's so stiff. Man, I don't want to break it off. So his head turns, and his head is on a ball joint, so it does have like a little bit of side-to-side movement, and he can look down pretty good amount, actually. You can only look up so far because he's got that long hair on him. And he's got the necklace, which looks exactly like the way that Frank Frazetta drew that necklace in the painting. Very good on that. He's got this armband, which is kind of up over his elbow in this version. But as we can see in the painting, it was more down sort of below his elbow in that. So I don't know if we can slide this down and make it a little more accurate. So it might just split up in the package. But yeah, that's a little more like how it was in the painting. No bracer on this arm, which again, is that accurate to the painting? Yeah, that's accurate to the painting. And then over here, he's got this bracer with lots of studs on it. That is accurate to the painting. And then his legs are on a ball joint. They can kick up about that far. Kick back about that far. It is really stiff, though. He's really stiff. And he can do the splits no problem. Now, in the painting, we can't actually see that much of Conan's loincloth, shorts, whatever you want to call them. But you can see he does have, like, furry shorts, furry loincloth, whatever. And then he's got this kind of leather cod piece in the front. And that more to me looks like how his costume was in the movie Arnold Schwarzenegger when he played in Conan the Destroyer. More like the trunks he was wearing in that, where it had like fur at the sides, but that kind of leather cod piece in the middle. I'm a little behind on the chat, so let me try to get caught up. Al Davis says, Bobby, gonna have to look at those. Cheers. Like the sound of those, talking about the skeletons. And then I stabbed my eye with Conan's shield. Yeah, exactly. That's why they don't want to have big spiky things on things. And now the other eye with his unsheathed sword. Mama, give him a chimpanzee and a vine to swing on, and he's the beefcake Tarzan instantly. See, that's another one I think that if Frazetta Girls continues with this series, they should certainly do Tarzan. And they have done John Carter. So that shows me that they've got like the connections with the Burroughs estate. And even though like those novels are public domain now, and some of the Conan stories as well, on the copyright information here, it does say trademarks John Carter of John Carter of Mars, Warlord of Mars, owned by Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated, used by permission. Conan is copyright Conan Properties, and Frazetta Girls, Icon Collectibles, and Frazetta Universe are all trademarks of Frazetta Girls LLC. So yeah, they did actually, even though I don't think they really would have even had to technically gotten permission to make figures of Frank Frazetta's versions of John Carter or Conan, because I believe those characters are public domain now, but the names are trademarked. So if they wanted to label the figures as John Carter or Conan, long way, they would have to they would have to pay some royalties for that. So his arms are like ridiculous stiff, and I'm worried about trying to move them without trying to heat them up or anything first. And I'm not sure exactly how they attach in, if it's a peg that goes into the arm or a peg that goes into the torso. So I'm not going to try to move his arms at all right now. And I'm not going to try to move his wrists either, because of the same reason, basically. So until I know how these figures fit together, I'm going to be a little delicate with them. And it looks like that I should be able to take his head off if it's on a ball joint. So let's try to take his head off. Yep, there we go. And we can see the ball joint underneath. And that means this necklace is removable. So you can put this necklace on the other figures if you want. That's like the closest thing we get in this to removable armor. I'm pretty sure they just put removable armor because, maybe like John Carter, I'm sure, has removable armor. And they just have like a generic text they were using for all of these. The belt on this one doesn't seem to be removable. And this armband, that does seem to be. So you can take off the armband and you can take off the necklace. And I think that's as close to removable armor as we get. I'm betting that this wristband is a separate piece, and I could probably take that off too. And it looks like that even though that the boots are a separate piece from the thighs, it doesn't seem like there might be articulation there too. I don't know. But there's definitely articulation at the ankles. So it said that those rotate. And it looks like that's just on a little peg that kind of rotates around a little bit. Yeah, I managed to get that loosened up enough to turn. So, but yeah, Tarzan would be another really cool figure to see. Maybe Boss Fight can do Tarzan in their Motu like line, since I know they have the rights to Tarzan already. But yeah, Frazetta. Okay, I got one of his arms loosened up, so that's good. Just some gentle coaxing, and it looks like to me, I can take it out. It pegs into the torso. That's how that works. So now that I know how that works, I can I think I can say with some amount of yeah, there we go. I was a little worried about it. I didn't want to break it. I did not want to break my fancy 5,000 piece Conan the Barbarian figure, because I got a little impatient with his articulation. Can I get the wrist out? Oh, I can pull the wrist out. Okay. So yeah, just fair warning to anybody who, when you first get these, now that I took it apart and put it back together, now it's still a very tight joint, but it actually will move. So just fair warning, when you go, don't force it. Always gentle coaxing. That's always how you want to do that. And if gentle coaxing doesn't work, apply some heat to it. Use a hair dryer or use some hot water. Boil some water. Don't put it directly over the burner while it's still boiling, but get it up to a boil, then turn off the burner, then put the water in. And now that this bracer is removable. Okay, so his articulation, his arms rotate all the way around at the shoulders, just like a classic Masters of the Universe figure. So that's how that works, for anybody who was wondering. And the head sculpt is really nice. I think this is a good Frazetta style. It's a good Conan in general, but it does resemble Frazetta's Conan a bit. I think they probably couldn't have gotten like a bit closer. They decided to give him this scowl with these gritted teeth. And of course, some paintings of Frazetta's Conan do have that, but he's got more of a neutral expression on this one. This is like after the battle. And Conan is has crushed his enemies, and you can see not all of them were driven before him because he's standing on a big pile of them. And I don't know if this lady is lamenting or not. She seems kind of grateful more than anything else. So yeah, she's probably glad to be free of these horrible people that captured her, and is glad that Conan is there to hold her in his muscular arms, and she'll melt like hot butter on a skillet. Oh man, that's a good movie. I need to watch that again one of these days. The Whole Wide World with Vincent D'Onofrio. He plays Robert E. Howard in that, and he is excellent. Excellent, does an excellent. He probably could have actually played Conan back in the day too. Like if he got in really good shape, he probably could have been a good Conan. But of course, we were still waiting on that third Arnold movie at the time, so I think we would have probably rather seen that. Even if Vincent D'Onofrio, I think probably could have actually pulled it off. But they're Arnold's talking about doing it again. We'll see if it happens. So Al Davis says original figures based on comic book versions of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen would be pretty damn cool too. Throw in Holmes and Watson for good measure. Yeah, like well, I mean, technically, I know Holmes did appear in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen because they had the flashback to the Reichenbach Falls, and showed how they both actually survived that fight. Obviously, Moriarty was more of a recurring character in that than Sherlock Holmes. Like Alan Moore had said he didn't want to have too much of Sherlock Holmes or Dracula in that book because he felt like they would kind of take over the book, and I kind of get his point there. So yeah, that's why it takes place. At least the first series takes place during the time when everybody believed that Sherlock Holmes was dead, and during either after Dracula was killed or after everybody thought Dracula was killed. However you want to look at that. But yeah, the sword sheath pegs into the back of the loincloth, just like that. It seems like it's going to stay in there fairly reasonably well, but I'd probably be careful with it if you had like a kid playing with it or something. I don't know if you want to have a kid playing with your, limited edition 5,000 piece figure. Let's go ahead and get the sword in his hand. See what it looks like with the sword in his hand. And he does not have the thumb sticking up like a regular Masters of the Universe figure has. So you do kind of have to wrap the thumb around the sword. But there he is with that. And I do think they maybe could have made this sword a little bit longer. It does seem a little bit on the short side now that I'm looking at it. But that's just nitpick. That's not really that big of a deal. And the shield, hopefully we should be able to slip that over his arm. And then I think we can slip the fingers of his open hand into the handle of the shield. And it seems like his pinky is wanting to get kind of caught up. It's always the pinky giving me trouble, isn't it? So, but yeah, once we got that on, there we go. Perfect. So there he is, ready for battle. But of course, he does have a third accessory. And he's got storage for the sword. So I figure we probably ought to put the sword in the sheath and have the axe as his main weapon. And there are parts of this axe handle that are thicker than others. So I think that the thicker parts of it are where you're intended to have him holding the axe, but the more narrow parts of it are where you can kind of fit it into his hand more easily. So there we go. And like, this is a cool looking axe. I'm not trying to be bad mouthing it. I'm not trying to say they did a bad job with the axe. Don't misunderstand me. Don't misread what I'm laying down. I like this axe. It is nice looking, but I don't know. It certainly wasn't in this painting. And I figure it's the sort of thing where we got to give Conan an axe, even if it's not in the painting, because Conan needs to have an axe. It'd be a shame if the He-Man figure came with an axe and Conan didn't. I mean, that's just embarrassing. But I think they probably could have taken one of the axes from another. Let me look it up. I want to make sure that I'm right about this. And if I'm wrong about this, I want to let you good people know, because I want to be right. So I want to correct myself if I'm wrong. So let's look up Frazetta Conan. And of course, the first image we get up is that Conan the Destroyer painting. And of course, that's the definitive image of Conan the Barbarian. People think of Conan, they think of that. So here's Berserker. He has a sword, and the Destroyer, the original version of the Destroyer, he looked like he was just strangling somebody. But the Frazetta's revised version of Destroyer, I don't know if that's going to come across on screen. You can look it up for yourself. He's got a single-bladed axe. And then, let's see what else we got. There's a really cool World War II painting he did. Almost a Sergeant Rock kind of character like that. Yeah, there's the original Conan the Buccaneer, what later became Conan the Destroyer. He's just kind of strangling somebody. And that's I can see why Frazetta decided he needed to change that, because it is kind of strange to have like a huge battle scene where Conan's just strangling somebody. And here is another painting of Conan with an axe. I'm not sure what the title of that one is. Let me see if I can find. That's just kind of a thumbnail with some other figures. When Conan fought Thak, he just had a knife. Yeah, see, here's another Frazetta girl's figure. This is the 112 figure, and you can see he's got that single-bladed axe like I was talking about. So they already had this axe sculpted. They could have just given that to our Frazetta Conan. I think I would have liked that better than the axe that he came with. I would have rather had an axe that looks like the one that Frazetta uses in his paintings. Now, I don't know if this is a Conan. Yeah, it's Conan the Warrior. Okay. So he does have a double-bladed axe in the painting Conan the Warrior. But also, like, since he's so small in the background, I can't even tell exactly how accurate this axe is. But I'm going to say it's close enough. I'm going to say that they were probably going for the axe in the Conan the Warrior painting, and they just couldn't really get a good look at it. So they just kind of took some creative liberties with it. I'm going to say that's what it was. So, and then, like I said, this is on the Frazetta Girls website. I don't know if it's still there or not, or if it's sold out. Like I said, they only made 5,000 of them. But there is a standard version where Conan is wearing a helmet. So if you'd rather have a Conan with a helmet, you can get that one. Or if this one is sold out on the Frazetta Girls website, well then that's another option there, isn't it? Let me actually, while I'm thinking about it, I will look on the Frazetta Girls website, and as of time of the recording, I can tell you with certainty whether or not this figure is still available, at least time of recording. As soon as it loads up. Any minute now. 5.5-inch retro figures Explorer. Yeah, it says their Death Dealer figure is sold out, but Conan is still available currently, and so is John Carter. But it looks like that the exclusive version of Death Dealer is sold out, which I'm not really surprised that Death Dealer will be the one to sell out first. I wouldn't be surprised for any of these, honestly. I might be a little surprised for John Carter, but like Conan is like the most well-known character, so it wouldn't have surprised me if he sold out first either. And if you're like specifically a fan of Frank Frazetta, there's a good chance that Death Dealer is your favorite character that he painted. I think that's just as likely. And like I said, I've done lots of custom figures of Death Dealer in this style myself, but I do like how they did him, and I would like to pick one of those up one of these days. But I guess I'll have to get the standard version. And honestly, I like the standard version of John Carter better than their exclusive version. That's just me. Like he looks a little bit more like Frazetta's Princess of Mars painting, so I like that one. So, but they're both nice. All these figures are nice, and I probably would like to get the helmet version of Conan eventually as well, because I do like the helmet version. But like I said, I felt like it was more important to have the non-helmet version, because I love all of Frazetta's stuff, and I love all of his Conan paintings, obviously, but this one is just my favorite. And like, of course, that was where like he really defined the character. Now, I will say there are a few things that they could do to push this figure and make it more like the Frazetta painting. And I'm not armchair quarterbacking into this case. I'm not saying this is what they should have done, but I'm saying this is something that they could potentially do in the future if they want to do another variation on this, and that's to kind of push the paint applications a little bit more. Like, you see how Frazetta did all kinds of crazy colors on the skin color. It wasn't just like a plain tan skin like we see here. It's got like maybe a little bit of a wash to it, I think, or something like that. But you can see it's mostly like a fairly uniform tan skin. But Frazetta would put all these kind of crazy colors onto his skin color. You see a little bit of gray, a little bit of blue, a little bit of green, all kinds of weird lighting elements they do to it. And you see how, like, it's very shaded in the depths of his muscles in between his pectorals, and over on his on this arm, you see where like there's all this shadow and everything like that. And if they could do another edition of this, and I guess I'd probably make it a fancier edition. I'd make it more expensive, honestly. This would be the more prestige version of their 5.5 inch figure, is to give him a paint job worthy of the master, something that would look really cool. I think that would be something I would suggest. Something to do in the future. I'm not saying they should have done it with this one. This one's perfect as he is. As far as like, I really like the paint job that they did on him. I'm not trying to say I didn't. So just so we're clear on that. And then Al Davis has articulated so that you can pose it exactly like the image and provide a bigger sword and a sexy babe. Well, they did, like I said, they did do some other like more highly articulated Conan, and they got a John Carter they just put out on their website. They did do some more highly articulated figures. This one, like I said, it's supposed to be a Masters of the Universe style figure, and he is a little bit more articulated than an old school Masters of the Universe figure, because like I said, we got a ball joint at the neck, we got wrist articulation, so the wrist rotates all the way around. We didn't actually do like a proper articulation breakdown of this guy because I was so ginger about it, but we might as well do that now. So yeah, Conan can look down about that far. He can't look up very far because of the long hair, but whatever. He can kind of tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side. In theory, it should rotate all the way around, but it's going to bump into this hair, like I said. And then the arms rotate all the way around at the shoulders. It's just a cut joint, folks, because it's supposed to be an old school figure, so that's how it do. And then the wrists rotate all the way around. And then Conan can kick up about that far. These are ball jointed legs. They can move back about that far. And you can hear how stiff these are. Like, you can hear the plastic squeaking up against each other. You can even kind of do a little bit of split there. So, of course, the old Masters of the Universe had that rubber band in the middle, but this is a ball joint, so it kind of replicates that. I did examine the articulation. Well, we're going over it. I know I talked about it some while I was talking about the figure, but we're just going to do a full section on it right now. So then the foot rotates all the way around, and that does seem to have like a little bit of Al Davis says, I was quiet in case the legs snapped off. Well, thank God they didn't. So anyway, this is a really cool figure, and I'm really happy with how he turned out. So much so that I don't even mind that I already basically did my own version of this figure a while back. And since this is like more of a limited edition, he's going to go back into the package, since this is a resealable package. And he's going to hang on my wall as the true piece of artwork that he is. But since it is a resealable package, I can also, put him back, take him out of the package, put him back into the package, whatever. But he's going to be an awesome display piece, I think. And I would like to get the rest of the figures in this series. I do think they did a really nice job with this. And it makes me want to pick up the John Carter and the Death Dealer figures as well. So anyway, that's it for Conan the Barbarian, at least for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Sometime soon, hopefully sooner than I think. But I know I've seen some in-hand pictures from some people, but hopefully Big Bad Toy Store will get their shipment in soon, and I can go ahead and order from my pile of loot and get Conan, their version of their 5.5 inch Conan, and Red Sonja, which I'm a big fan of Red Sonja, so I'm really excited about that. So Al Davis says one is Winter Conan, one is Beach Conan. Yeah. Well, I picked this body, even though I thought it was kind of pale for like how I think of Conan, but I picked it because like I said, it had that kind of like airbrushing to it with the the shading, and I really liked that, and I thought that kind of fit with the whole like 80s fantasy artwork. That was what they were going for with this He-Man figure in the first place, the Stranger Things He-Man. So, and then I just printed out the parts for it, and didn't have to paint the figure at all. I painted the head because I printed that, and I painted the the belt on the loincloth, and I painted the necklace. But the figure itself, I was able to just leave him exactly as he was, and that worked out pretty well. This is probably closer to the skin color I'd probably want Conan to be, ideally. And then, of course, like most of my customs are just kind of like the standard He-Man color, because that's the standard. This is the easiest one to get. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Al Davis says it looks awesome, so thank you. But anyway, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure, Conan the Barbarian, and what your favorite version of Conan is over the years. Like the Boss Fight Studios figure to me looks like it's more based on the comic book version. And I'm definitely going to go into some detail talking about why I feel like that's the case. And then, of course, most figures we see are based on the movie version of Conan, because that's probably the one that's the most well known to the general public. So, I want to say most of the ones Super 7 have done have been based on the movie version, but they've had some comic book versions too. This one, though, solidly the Frank Frazetta version. And that also was the inspiration for my own custom. So, obviously, I'm a big fan of the Frank Frazetta version. Like I said, to me, this is visually definitive what Conan ought to be. The only other one I can think of that would come close to Frazetta would be John Buscema's design of Conan. And of course, when John Buscema did his design of Conan, he basically took the same, the same approach that Frank Frazetta did. He took Frank Frazetta's design and kind of crushed it down and simplified it into a comic book form, something that you could draw over and over again, page for page, panel for panel, and not go insane with all this detail. Frazetta can make Conan as detailed as he wanted to, because he's just doing a painting. But if you're drawing Conan like 5 times a day, you want to make sure you stay consistent. Boris Vallejo, that's another guy. Al Davis wants to point him out. Yeah, he's a very talented artist. Did a lot of great covers for the Marvel. Savage Sword of Conan, my personal favorite. Hey, Oliver's Death Metal is here. Crush your enemies, see them running before you, and hear the lamentation of the women. Yes, exactly. And I don't think I'd actually said that quote during the episode. And you did come back, so welcome back. It was good to see you. Unfortunately, we're right at the tail end of the episode, though. But it is good that better late than never. I say it's always good to see my peeps showing up. So thanks for coming back. So yeah, next episode. I got 2 things in the mail yesterday. 2 things in the mail. So I got this. So this is going to be my next episode. We're going to go back into the DC universe because I have the crowdfunding Harley Quinn. Yeah. Bobby Wald says, I'm more of a Thundar the Barbarian. Any barbarian wielding a lightsaber is the winner of my... the Thundar was really cool. I've mentioned before, I had the Masters of the Universe figures well before the Filmation cartoon. So all I had to go off of was those mini comics that it came with. But kind of the first Barbarian character that I can really remember would have been Thundar the Barbarian. So Thundar kind of became like the model for He-Man in my mind, and still kind of remains that to this day. Like I have the Prince Adam He-Man and my own version of He-Man that are kind of separate. And to me, in my continuity, there's been lots of people who have held the mantle of He-Man over the years, and the mini comic He-Man would have been the guy right before Prince Adam. He would have been the last guy before Prince Adam. But yeah, so I got the crowdfunding Harley Quinn figure. This is a level 3, and it might not look like it, but it's actually a 2-pack because they got the Joker just kind of shoved into the back here, like he's an accessory. Like it doesn't even say Harley Quinn and Joker on the pack. They got him hidden in there. Got a picture of the Joker on the back, so obviously he's in there. But then we're probably Collectors Club. And I'll get more into this when I talk about the episode, but I kind of feel like Harley is a figure that like she probably didn't really need to be a crowdfunding figure, but I think they just did it because they wanted to do something special. Oliver's Death Metal says loyal to Crom. Yes, we are. But is Crom loyal to us? Crom, that most indifferent of gods. I gotta respect him though, because at least he's not damning us to hell. Al Davis says I had to zoom in on your post earlier. What to see? Yeah, to see the Joker figure in there. Yeah, you can even in that. I took the best picture I could take where you could see him in there, but he's barely. That's like they're trying to hide him. They're trying to hide Jared Leto in there. Kind of like the marketing for the Masters of the Universe movie. Yeah, he's in. He's just barely in. When I first opened this package up, I'm like, I'm supposed to get 2 figures here. Where's the other box? And I'm really looking at it. They're like, oh, well, he's in there, so I guess I can't complain. But I would have thought they would have, made it like a 2-pack kind of box and had it say Harley Quinn and Joker. She still gets top billing, but mention him on here. Don't even mention him on here. But yeah, I've been looking forward to the double stuffed box. Yeah, indeed. But yeah, that's going to be the next episode. I'm not sure when the next episode's going to be. It might be tomorrow. It's not going to be tomorrow. I think I'm going over to my mom's house tomorrow. But it might be Thursday. Is when I do the next episode. So yeah, that's it for our Conan the Barbarian figure. I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll have another Conan figure hopefully very, very soon in the future when I finally get that the boss fight version in Red Sonja. And I'm looking forward to those. So and then that would be it for the 3 Masters of the Universe like figures, because we opened up Venatica from Legends of Dragonor. And then we opened up Conan, or we opened Danzig, and then we opened up Conan. So I can have Glenn Danzig fight Conan. That'll be fun. All right. Al Davis says hello and health to Ma Belk. Well, she's not a Belk anymore. My parents got divorced, but I appreciate that though. And then Oliver's Death Metal says, nice to meet all 3 of you. And it was nice to meet you. And it's nice that we all can hang out together. And, it's like, I love all you guys. I really do. So, but I do have to go. It's almost time for me to start getting ready for work. And I do have a few more things that I want to do before I have to do that. So anyway, yeah, today's the day where I got to go in early. So we got an early show. But that means the show has to end early too. So, oh, well, whatever. Yeah, sorry. But that'll be it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye.